for people in virtual land as well. Good to see y'all. But as Flo mentioned, I'm here as a representative of Lakeview Neighborhood Alliance in the Lakeview neighborhood. And I always like to say that I was appointed leadership in that neighborhood, not self-appointed. There was a lady there by the name of Ms. Nola Murphy, who was the president of the neighborhood when I moved in. And she was working as trying to organize people. And when I was doing work in CMS and CIS, we came and we was working with students 9th grade through 12th, getting them ready for playing after high school. And when we was doing that, I kept seeing kids in the beginning of the year be very, very optimistic about their future and their life. But by the end of that school year, good people, the light had dimmed every year. I kept asking myself, what's going on with these kids, right? And of course, you point the finger at the kids, the teachers, the parents, and you think, okay, there's something going on there. And then CAS, we started doing home visits. And I started going into these neighborhoods of concentrated poverty, neighborhoods like Lakeview. And I started to understand that these kids and these families are dealing with something that I've never fathomed before, right? We all know that poverty is tough no matter what, right? But when you concentrate poverty into an area, into a neighborhood, now everyone in that neighborhood is in this thing called survival mode, right? We're going to talk about that a little bit later on as well. But I started hearing stories like, seeing a young man, I'm like, boy, didn't we just talk about not doing that, right? And like, well, Mr. Kinard, you don't know what I'm going through. I'm like, well, okay, well, tell me what you're going through, right? And he would say, well, if I don't break in the house, with the friends, when they break in the house, I'm gonna get jumped. So you gonna help me fight? I said, no, I'm too cute to fight. I ain't fight nobody now, right? And then the young ladies would say, if I didn't do the things that other people was asking me to do, I'm gonna get bullied both in person and online, Twitter, cyber bullying, right? So I started to understand that these kids are dealing with something that we're not truly addressing in the school system, and we need to be making some moves inside the neighborhood. The second thing that brought me to this work was the Rod Chetty study. I know y'all probably familiar with that, Charlotte being 50 out of 50 in economic mobility. And I was like, man, it baffled me because Charlotte is like what, top 3 in banking centers in the nation? It's like top 5 when it comes to philanthropic giving through nonprofits, right? And it's like we're giving out trillions of dollars every year, and it's not getting to the hands of the people that truly need it. So let you know that something systemic is going on, because I'm seeing people's hearts move and want to have solutions to this challenge that we're facing. But something is going on systemically. It's now allowing the money to get in the hands of the people that need it. Last thing that brought me to this work was going to a Racial Equity Institute training. I was part of CIS when I was there. And we did that training 2 days, 2-day training. After the second day, I was sitting in my chair with my head down, and I was like glued to my seat, good people, and I couldn't move, right? And this lady, this older white lady, Suzanne Plizik, and I got to describe Suzanne to y'all. Suzanne wears all black, and her hair is like electric gray, right? We call Suzanne the Oracle, right? So you can imagine, she kind of like floated over there to me. It kind of seemed like, right? It's like this divine moment, and she picked up my head. She said, Jamall, are you not going to go home? And I looked at Susan, I said, how do you expect me to go home and do my job after I heard what I just heard? She said, Jamall, I expect you to go home and do your job even better. And I expect you to go home and begin organizing. I left that day. We started knocking on people's doors, and that led to the formation of Lakeview Neighborhood Alliance, working with Ms. Nola Murphy. Now, Ms. Nola was the president, and I had no intentions of becoming executive director or president of this organization. But Ms. Nola took me out. She called me one day. She said, baby, come take me out to eat. I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, I said, Ms. Nola, where you want to go? She said, I want to go to Burger King on Brookshire. I said, that's where you want to go, Ms. Nola? You don't want to go, Capitol Grill or nothing like that? She said, don't sass me. Come pick me up. Take me get something to eat. I said, yes, ma'am, right? So I took her, and she said, take me inside. We're going to eat. She told me what she wanted to order. She sat down while I ordered the food, and we sat in that Burger King on Brookshire. We talked about 2 or 3 hours, just about everything she's been through in the neighborhood, things she's trying to do, her vision for the neighborhood, so on and so forth. A week later, Ms. Nola died in a car accident, right? But while we was at Burger King, she said, Jamall, I'm handing the keys over to you. She says, I'm tired. I've done all I can do. So when I say I was appointed by the neighborhood to be in this position, I take it truly seriously. calls Nola, Miss Nola Murphy, Pastor Dennis Williams, who is the pastor of Faith Memorial Baptist Church in the neighborhood where we do operations out of, Miss VJ, Vivian Johnson, Miss Hattie Mitchell. All these people have paved the way for me to be here in front of you all today. And not only that, working with people like Claire Tate, right, and Sheriff Shiflett, right? These people who have been in the neighborhood for a while doing work with the Lakewood Preschool. So I take those two groups of people, and I'm a manifestation of what years of hard work in this neighborhood can become. And I think we've got the baton to this part. And now the baton is in my hand, is in your hands for us to continue to go forward and do work together. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, what we're doing right now, what we've done with the partnership thus far, and how we can continue to move the baton down the road and continue to do things together as a partnership. So with that being said, Lakeview Neighborhood Alliance, we are a community impact organization. Impact is an acronym that stands for individuals making progress and change together. Individuals making progress and change together. All of us as individuals, our unique perspective, as Gerald said earlier today, understanding each other's perspectives and coming together to make progress and change together. That's what we all about, right? And we have organized ourselves around a 3E strategic plan. Those 3 E's are engage, educate, and empower. We want to engage with each other. We want to be educated about each other's experience so we can be empowered to move forward together. And y'all, I want to stress that word together. If we don't work together in this country, in this state, in this city, in this neighborhood to move the baton forward, it would be like me and you on a boat together. It's a hole on my side of the boat. And Anna saying, Jamall, you better fix that hole in your boat. And I say, Anna, you better get over here too, because if we don't fix this hole together, guess what? I may go down first, but you coming right behind me sooner or later, right? So we have to be working together to fix the holes that we find inside the boat. None of us created the holes, right? We inherited it. I think it's our responsibility to take care of what we inherited, okay? So going forward, let me see here. There we go. This is some of the team that makes up Lakeview Neighborhood Alliance. As you see, we have Pastor Dennis Williams here in the middle. He's the pastor of the church. Y'all might recognize Tom Opal. He's our board treasurer right now. Quintel Gwen, she's our vice chair. Ms. Dolores Miller, she's a longtime member of the neighborhood. Sharice Blackman, she's also the executive director of the West Side Community Land Trust, that's doing some great work here in Charlotte as well. And the young lady here in the middle, I call her the secret sauce to everything we do in Lakeview, because she's our head community engagement specialist. So similar to the CIS model, how the site coordinators was the secret sauce, working inside the schools, meeting with students every day. Community engagement specialists meet with the residents each and every day through individual appointments, through small groups. And we have 3 community engagement specialists now. So they meet with residents each and every day, learn about the issues that's going on. I come out, do what I'm doing now, meeting with you all, meeting with other resource providers. And then we come back together. I say, okay, this is the resources and funding we have. Let's use that to take care of some of the issues we have in the neighborhood. Then they inform me of some of the new challenges we have. I go out, find more resources, bring them back in to meet the needs of the people. That's how we work. Going forward, this is our vision statement for Lakeview. We say Lakeview is a self-sufficient, self-determined, self-governed neighborhood that others look to as an example of a diverse community with strong families. A diverse community with strong families. When you all hear the word self-sufficient, what comes to mind, right? Being able to take care of yourself and not be dependent on someone else or something else to make sure you have the essential needs, that your essential needs met to survive. That's what we think about that. Self-determined, us being determined as a community to address the needs that we have inside the neighborhood. Y'all, when I grew up, we didn't have to go outside my neighborhood to get needs met, right? We had a midwife down the street, we had a teacher, we had a doctor, we had a pilot, we had a principal, right? So when people say that our neighborhood, Lakeview, is an under-resourced neighborhood, I say that's half the truth. I think we're more of an over-extracted neighborhood because all our talent is gone. All our resources, our human capital is gone. Somewhere along the line, they told us to make it out, and that will be success, right? To make it out of your neighborhood. You hear a lot of kids say, I just want to make it out. It's like, make it out to where? Even if you make it out, your family, your people are still inside this condition. So why not go off and get your skills, your degrees, and come back and reinvest? That's the mindset we're trying to shift. So when you hear self-sufficient, self-determined, self-governed, that's what we're trying to get to. And a diverse community with strong families, that speaks for itself. Without strong families, as you all know, what can we really do as being by ourselves? Yeah.
Sorry, what do you mean by diverse? What is the diversity? Is it economic? Is it
all of
racial?
that?
Is it
all of that is diversity. So right now we're talking about racial diversity, thinking diversity, age diversity, gender diversity, economic diversity, all of those things, political diversity, because we have to be able to see multiple perspectives, right? Without your perspective in the room represented, can we really say we're looking out for your best interest? So right now we're about 61% African-American, 24% Asian, and those Asian residents are Vietnamese and Burmese, 9% white, I think 2% Native American, and 2% Latin American. That's our racial makeup of our neighborhood. Now we talk about gender though. We're 75% female women. So think about that, right? The women are really leading the charge in Lakeview, as Ms. Nola was before I was appointed the executive director. Other than that, we have 5% bachelor degrees. Let that sink in. 5% bachelor degrees, right? So here I am moving in with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, right? That's, you know, took it up a whole. I took it up a whole nother percent, right? We need to change that. We need to change that. We have about 40% home ownership in Lakeview, 60% rental. All of our rental, most of our rental residents on month-to-month leases though, not by choice. So what that means is at the end of that 30-day lease, if a property owner wants to sell or renovate that property, they only got to give that resident 7 days to get out. Now think about trying to find a home within 7 days, right? And trying to find an affordable home when you want a fixed income. So that's probably the number one call we get every week. I got 7 days to get out my home. Jamall, can y'all help me? And that's one of our main focuses too, as a neighbor, as an organization, to make sure we have the community partners align with us so that we can find that stable housing for people, and hopefully working to build some homes in the neighborhood so that we can move people in and put them on long-term rents and transition them into home ownership. Working with the West Side Community Land Trust right now, we have 2 homes being built, 2 single-family homes, and we have 2 tiny homes or ADUs being built in the backyard. So we'll be able to sell those 2 homes through the land trust model, with the market is probably right now in our area, probably about $300,000 to $400,000 for a 2 or 3 bedroom home. We're going to be able to sell those homes for $175,000 to a family. And then the ADUs will be affordable rent for people who want to transition into ownership through the land trust model. So that's what we're doing right now like that, but a little bit of diversity. Yeah.
Are the owners, I mean, the landlords, I guess you call them, who are renting, that 60% primarily outside the neighborhood?
Yeah. All of them outside the neighborhood. Probably the number one organization that we deal with, who's the management company for those homes, is TR Lawing Realty. And we have TR Lawing Realty. And we work with TR Lawing. If we can't, of course, they just do the management, right? If we can't get them to extend the lease, we will try to work with them to get the resident on another property that they manage, even if it's outside of Lakeview. But we have been able to work with them to get, hey, this can you give us a little bit more time to help this resident find a place to stay? They will continue to pay rent. Give us about 2 or 3 months, help them find a place to stay. So That's
And
what's
are there
about.
ever opportunities to purchase this property?
I mean, that's the economic piece, right? That's the market, you know. And I can't be mad at people who are seeing this area begin to grow and to be more valuable, right? But I do think that we should be working together to make sure people are not displaced, right? With all the renewal happening in this area, for the people who's been there 20 plus years, Brother Johnny Sibley, who is our neighborhood ambassador, he's been in the neighborhood since 1972, right? And these people have experienced some very tough times in Lakeview. So for now to be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, for those people who went through those tough times, they should be able to rent the benefits of the times that's coming. And that's why we're trying to work to keep people in place as much as we can. That's a good question. And I want this to be a conversation. So just like Anna's asking questions, please ask questions as we go along the presentation. This is our mission statement. Our mission is to engage the residents of Lakeview, educate them on opportunities, and connect them to resources while advocating for Lakeview's growth and empowerment. Each and every day, this is what we do. We engage with residents, want to educate them about the resources and opportunities that's out there, get them connected, and advocate for Lakeview's growth and empowerment. That's what we do each and every day. This is our organizational structure. As you see, we have a board. We have a resident-led board, 15 board members right now. We have written in our bylaws where 51% of the board has to be resident. That makes sure the resident's voice stay at the forefront of everything that's happening in the organization. Executive director has to be a resident. That's me. I've been a resident since 2017 in the neighborhood. And these, again, our secret sauce. We have a culturally responsible data and research director. It's important for me to say culturally responsible because he takes the information that we have in the neighborhood, our demographics, some of the challenges that we face, and he looks in history at other people who have dealt with similar challenges. What has already been done that did not work? So we're not duplicating the same things over and over again. One of the things I say is we do how many back to school drives every year, right? I don't have nothing against a back to school drive, right? But let's call it what it is. We're giving these babies supplies. We're not changing or closing the achievement gap by holding a back to school drive. No evidence says that works. So not to say that we should stop doing that, but we need to be doing that and what? What's the and, right? And sometimes we just settle for doing the things that feel good. We don't want to get in the trenches and deal with some things that may be a little bit more tougher. So that's what we're trying to do as we move forward. So that culturally responsible piece is understanding what has been done that didn't work and what has been done that has worked that we may have known about, and begin to do that and apply that here and innovate it moving forward. We have a development director. That position is still vacant right now. We're working with Pat McDowell and associates right now to formate and build a foundation for our development department. Pat has been a brother in the work, has really taught me a lot in working with him. We have 3 community engagement specialists, Chelsea, as I told you about earlier, and we have another resident, Tonette Bowles, who's our assistant community engagement specialist, and I have a young man who's my former student at Philip O'Berry, who is now community engagement specialist as well, Brother Marlo Navarro. We have a youth program director, Tam Hempfield, who is our who is a resident in the neighborhood as well. I have to add a position on there. We have a youth academic facilitator, Miss Victoria Moore. And the story about Victoria will bless you all. Victoria grew up in the neighborhood, went to UNC Greensboro, got her degree, and came back to the neighborhood, is now teaching at Highland Renaissance Elementary School. But the one thing that she talks about when she went through our peer learning program, she talked about going to Camp Greer with First Pres. And she talked about how that experience changed her life. And seeing that experience, she wanted more kids to have that same experience that she had. So when I talk about the work that you all have put in over the years, Victoria Moore is an example of what you all are doing and how it pays off. I think she's 28 years old and she still talks about Camp Greer and the impact that it had on her. And I don't think that's any coincidence that now she's a part of LNA working with the youth in the neighborhood to provide that same experience. We have a resident neighborhood ambassador, Brother Johnny Sibley, and now we have 12 zone captains. We're divided the neighborhood into 6 zones, and we have 2 captains per zone. The reason why we went to this model is because people were saying that we realized we had a good presence in certain areas of the neighborhood, and other areas didn't know too much about LNA. It was getting the information late. So now we took the approach of 6 zones, 2 people as zone captains in that zone to make sure we're getting the truthful information out to people and make sure they stay engaged with what we have going on. Okay. Any questions about the structure?
Right. How big is the neighborhood? How many residents?
How many residents? Have about, I think last time we checked, about 1,300 residents. We have about 327 households inside the neighborhood. So a majority of those residents are 60 and older. Yeah, so a lot of senior citizens in the neighborhood, which is great from a wisdom standpoint. It's not the best thing because our senior citizens who own their homes, they're getting bombarded each and every day with these calls. We buy houses, mailers, we buy houses, texts, we buy houses. And I tell them, don't sign nothing, right? Don't sign nothing. Allow us to read it. If you do want to sell your home, make sure you get fair value for your home. Because even if you sell it, like so Miss Hattie, she had a hole in her roof, right? And she was getting these mailers saying she would for her to sell her home because she didn't have the money to fix the hole in the roof. So we found out about that. We say, no, Miss Hattie, we can get a partner to take care of the home, the hole in your roof. You don't have to sell it because where are you going to go in Charlotte for the amount of money they're offering you for your home? So we work with Rebuild Together, Greater Charlotte, got her some critical home repair, fixed the hole in the roof, got her a new tub put in, got her new stairs and everything. So she's still able to be here in the neighborhood. But imagine if LNA wasn't there, right? Miss Hattie would have probably sold her home and moved somewhere else. Yes, sir.
Well, is that the Habitat rebuild?
No, that is Rebuild Together Greater Charlotte, Executive Director Beth Morrison. Don't know how, I'm not sure how long they've been around. I think it's a fairly new organization, but they have a healthy neighborhood program. They go from neighborhood to neighborhood and they work to do critical home repair on 20 plus houses. So in Lakeview, they did critical home repair on 26 homes inside of our neighborhood.
So Habitat does the same.
Yep.
Same critical home repair.
They definitely do, for sure. Yeah.
They built a fair number of houses.
Oh, yeah. Good piece. Yeah. So Sharika Eskridge, which is funny enough, I was attending the meeting at Faith Memorial when I first got started, and I hear this squeaky voice coming from inside the fellowship hall. I'm like, that sounds like Sharika. Me and Sharika went to college together at Gardner Webb University. But I'm like, no, Sharika ain't shouldn't be in Charlotte. I walk around and Lord knows it's Sharika inside there. I said, what you doing here? She said, what you doing here, Jamall? And she works for Habitat. She recently left Habitat, but we had a great partnership with Habitat with making sure the people who were Habitat homeowners got that critical home repair and things that needed as well.
Yeah, Laura Belcher, that's the executive director of Habitat, likes to tell the story that kids that move into a Habitat house perform on average below grade level. But within 2 years, they're above grade.
They're above grade level.
That's housing stability.
That's right. That's right, man.
Stable housing.
Stable housing. That's almost a perfect segue into how we work, right? So we talk about these 3 things again: engage, educate, empower. Engage with residents and stakeholders like yourself. So when I say I appreciate the opportunity to be here in front of you this morning in the house of the Lord, talking about God's people, with God's people, is a blessing. Educate social and economic stability. We need both, right? And empowerment, that family stability, as we're talking about now, and civic awareness. We call those the bookends. If you don't have people in a stable position and you don't have political education, what do you have? Right? To me, you don't have anything that can hold it in place and be sustainable. You got to be stable and you got to understand how the system works and how to navigate it so that you can have the power you need to move forward. So those are the bookends. And this is how we work. 4 main things we focus on inside of our 3E plan. Short-term responsive, child and family stability. Number 1. Number 2, prevention of displacement, right? Lakeview is the people. It's not a region. It's not a neighborhood to us. It's the people, right? So when we talk about, we have a t-shirt to say, I'm so Lakeview. We're talking about the people there, right? Talking about the people. Number 3, economic mobility, as we know, is a key part of this, and civic awareness, right? I have to tell you all a story. When I first started doing work, when I left the Racial Equity Institute training, and we started knocking on doors and doing community cleanups and stuff like that, we was in the park one day, and we was first called the Lakewood Neighborhood Alliance, right? Because they had this sign on the neighborhood that said the Lakewood community. So we called it Lakewood Neighborhood Alliance, like anybody else would, right? So we there, we got our logo, we got our 501c3, we're rocking and rolling, we're trying to get people to come out. Then I noticed it's the same 5 to 10 people coming out. We're not getting a lot of engagement, participation. So I'm like, well, we just got to get a guy here and try harder, right? I'm gonna have the same energy for 5 people in the room of 500. So we out there at the park one day, picking up trash, and somebody said, hey, are you Jamall? I gotta describe this guy to you, right? Bald-headed guy. No shirt on, tattoos everywhere, jean shorts and Timberland boots. I had to decide that they're good people. Am I Jamall? Do I want to be Jamall? I'm like, I don't know if I want to be Jamall today, right? But he called my name so forcefully. I was like, well, I'm in front of these people. I guess I got to stand for what I say I stand for. I said, yeah, that's me. So he walked over here to me. He shook my hand very hard, gave me a hug, and embraced it. He said, man, I love what you're doing, but we're not going to get behind you until we get our name back. So what are you talking about? He said, this is not Lakewood. This is Lakeview, and forever will be Lakeview. So we want people to join in what you're doing. We need our name back. So now I said, okay, let me figure out what this name is all about. So I started having tea with Miss Hattie, started cutting Mr. George's lawn, started taking Miss Priscilla's trash can out. And I'm hearing more and more of the stories and the history of the neighborhood. And they finally told me, they're like, listen, when we moved here in the neighborhood in the late 90s, well, no, I'm sorry, in the 60s, in the early 70s, there was a school, the Lakeview Elementary School. There was no sign on the neighborhood yet. They said we started calling the neighborhood Lakeview after that school, because that's where most of the students went to school at. I said, well, what happened? How did Lakewood come about? They said from 1910 to 1933, Lakewood Park was in that same area, right? Trolley, petting zoo, all that good stuff. Presidents spoke there. But after the Great Depression hit, the dam broke, flooded the park, lost its thing, was rebuilt as a neighborhood, but it was built with racially restrictive covenants. So it was an all-white neighborhood. But when urban renewal took place downtown in places like Brooklyn Village, those people was forced out, and they was forced to move into places like Lakeview, right? And white flight happened. But when those people moved out, they didn't sell those homes, they rented them to the people coming inside the neighborhood, right? So the Lakewood CDC was formed, probably partnered with First Press back in the day, and they didn't know they was trying to commemorate Lakewood Park. So they got together, Miles Park Baptist Church as well, and they put a sign on the neighborhood, Lakewood Community. That rubbed the people the wrong way because the people was not included in that major decision. So that caused a divide, right? And the Lakewood CDC worked out of Faith Memorial Baptist Church. So now there's a real divide. So now the residents don't want to come to the church because they feel like the church played a part in that. So now you got all this stuff in this neighborhood between people. So when we moved in, we had all this good intention, but we had to engage to untangle all of that confusion and things that went on. And we got to the point where we realized it was just a mistake. It was a mistake that had unintentional consequences that people didn't have no clue about. So we had to work to heal that. We got the name back. We did a survey in the neighborhood during the Lakeview reunion. And I'm gonna show you this picture of the people. This is the Lakeview Reunion Committee. We met with them. This lady here, Ms. Robin, with the apron on, she is the wife of the former president before Ms. Nola Murphy took over, Mr. Bud McCorkle. We have a bench inside the park now with his name on to commemorate him. He had a store inside the neighborhood. They had a marching band, softball team, all that good stuff, right? And we had our colors was blue, as you see in the shirt. They said, listen, we want a name back. We want our colors back. I said, what's the colors of the neighborhood? Red and white. So we had to change our logo color. So once we started doing that, y'all, we went from having 45 people in our database. So I think now we have like 204 people. Just by having a name change, right? These people did not feel seen because their name was taken away. Nobody even consulted with them. So we did this survey. The overwhelming favorite came back was Lakeview. So we quickly changed our name to Lakeview Neighborhood Alliance, changed our logo, changed the color. And now we're glad to say that the Lakeview Reunion Committee, Ms. Robin, she's a part of our board. Tam right here, she's our youth program director. And every event that we do, we work in partnership with the Lakeview Reunion. Going back a little bit, I like to show this picture because we talk about economic mobility. These are the young people in the neighborhood. Like we talk all the time. They'll be at the park and I just go talk. Let's talk. They're like, oh, here go Mr. Jamall preaching again, right? I used to be cool when I worked at CIS, right? But now that I'm in the neighborhood and I know more of their parents, they don't want to tell me too much now, right? So they probably like, oh my God, what are you talking about now? But I like talking to these young people because they give us a different perspective. And this is how we got to the Lakeview. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I realized for Zoom folks that you're sharing the screen with the video set up to play. Can you?
Okay. I'm not sharing this one. They're not seeing this one.
Right. I didn't realize that.
Okay. Let me
Can
see.
our friends.
Okay.
If you will.
That looks great. Thanks.
Normal players tuning in.
That's great.
She's doing the Ghana. Okay, nice. But they're not seeing this screen.
Correct.
Okay, let me see here.
But Jamal, we can see you.
There she is.
Yeah, now we can see you better. That's good.
Can they see it now?
Perfect. Thank
Good.
you.
I don't know how Zoom be working sometimes, but it does its own thing, right? Yeah. So when we talk to those kids, you realize that Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Y'all know about this. We learned this in school a lot, right? We realized that Lakeview was in this thing called survival mode, those bottom two levels of the hierarchy, right? Physiological needs, air, water, food, shelter, the safety needs, personal security, employment. People are stuck there in this country systemically. Not because they did anything wrong, not because they're lazy, not because they are, all the narratives we hear in the past. No, they're there systemically. This is called concentrated power. So our role as Lakeview is to help those people get out of that survival mode. Because when you're in survival mode, y'all, you don't worry about community. You fend for yourself. Everything is about taking care of me and my own. You stay over there, I stay over here. The young people say, I'm gonna do me and you do you, right? And there's nobody working together. And we saw that because in our neighborhoods, and I grew up, I lived in a true community, right? Somewhere along the line, they told us that our community is a neighborhood. And then they took the neighbor out and they started to call it just the hood, right? Now it's our job as Lakeview to put the neighbor back in neighborhood. And that's where the love and belong to something bigger than yourself come in. That's why the name was so important, for us to have somewhere to have some kind of identity for ourselves. And that Lakeview meaning something, right? So that intimacy, that friendship, right? And I tell people that there is no hurt like church hurt. A lot many of y'all have experienced church hurt, right? The people that's supposed to be caring for you, supposed to be loving on you, when they do something that hurts your heart, you feel like you're in survival mode even when you're not, because you really don't have a safe place to go to. So we want LNA to be that safe place for our residents. Educate, building that esteem, right? We have this voice in our heads each and every day we wake up that tells us that we can't do what we're setting out to do. I think everybody deals with that on some level, right? Right? And you got to tell that voice every day, not today, not today. I'm gonna push forward. But if you don't have that skill, that social emotional skill, because you're living with concentrated power, what's that voice in your head telling you to do? I don't deserve this. I'm not gonna go there. What's the use? My family is here. I'm gonna always be here. I think that leads to people staying in the economic position that they're in. Last but not least, we want to empower and get people up to self-actualization. Understanding their talent, skills, and ability, and what it means to employ those talent, skills, and ability inside of their community. That's what we're working to do. So talking to those young people really helped us to understand this is what economic mobility truly looks like as we move forward. All right, let me make this quick. Let me get into some more questions. The long-term vision, good people. This is what we're trying to build to, right? We want to take what you all have done in the neighborhood thus far at your partnership. We want to have LNA completely organized, working with residents so that you really can know what's going on inside the neighborhood. And we want to build towards our long-term strategic plan of building an ecosystem inside of Lakeview. So we have three main initiatives that we are currently raising funds for. Number one, we just got the former Lakeview Elementary School. We got that under lease with CMS right now. And we want that to begin to be our economic mobility hub, right? For a neighborhood to be a true community, we have to own and operate at least four things. That's a banking and savings institution, a supermarket, a healthcare center, and a vocational school, right? We want to have at least two of those things inside there, the supermarket and the vocational school, along with having a youth center, retail space, co-working, and events for people to have small gatherings and things of that nature. So that's a $15 million investment to refurbish that building, get it up and going. We have an affordable living plan with the Westside Community Land Trust to build more single-family homes, multi-family homes, and ADUs and tiny homes. And we're also providing that critical home repair inside the neighborhood to keep people in place as well, right? We want to own and operate those properties. So when somebody is about to get displaced, we can move them into those properties. Last but not least, working with Faith Memorial Baptist Church, they have a plot of land that they have donated to LNA, and we want to build a Lakeview Community Outreach Center on that land. That's a $7 million project, and this is the rendering that the architect has provided for us. So,
Jamall,
yes, sir.
next question.
Yes, sir,
The county seems to me to be a logical partner
for sure,
in terms of particularly this capital side.
for sure.
I mean, to have a price tag in front of it, $16 million is ambitious, admirable, et cetera, but it seems to me this is the county's business
It is.
to be a partner with you, and that's a very logical way
It is.
to get on a bond issue and get that thing funded.
That's what we need skill-based volunteering, Mr. Tate. Show us how to do that. Because we are holding the county up accountable now, them and the school board. The process that we have to go through, they gave us 3 processes that we can go through. Number one, we can get that building, the historical designation. Kind of with I think they took that approach in Cherry, I think, to get the building for affordable price or even get it given to them, right? The second thing is the county can purchase the building from the school board and give it to us, or give it to us for market rate. I mean,
You know, the
below
county
market rate.
owns all that property.
That's right.
Schools, right?
That's right. So we working with Bill Malik. We had the cleanup two Fridays ago. Bill Malik came out along with Lenore Ship for the school board, and they gave us a commitment along with Malcolm Graham in the city of Charlotte that they're going to help us find funds and get this thing for us. So now we got to do the civic awareness piece and hold people accountable. But I would love to meet with you, Mr. Tate, and talk about that process. You good with that? Okay, perfect. I love to hear that. Yes, sir. So this is the long-term strategic goal. Really having an ecosystem that we can make this thing sustainable. And there's 4 main stages right now: the acquisition, as we're talking about, the design, showing the impact, and then sustainability. That's why ownership is so important. How many times have people come into our neighborhood, ran programs, took pictures, and went out, right? This is how we can ensure that the program will go on and will continue to evolve as the neighborhood continues to evolve as well. So I've talked enough. I'm gonna let a video play to kind of let you hear from the residents and the things that we've done thus far, especially with our economic mobility plan. We have an initiative that's kind of similar to the universal basic income, to where we give residents in need $200 in gift cards per month. That helps them get out of that survival mode with the money that they're saving. We have them enroll into a financial education class with the Life Group. And then we did a survey and found out that 54.7% of residents did not have a bank account. We can't even talk about economic mobility, y'all. Y'all ain't got a place to protect your money, right? So we have a partnership with Bank of America. Big shout outs to our partner, Jenny Ward there, and Keith Cockrell, with Charles Bowman before he retired, that allowed us to have a partnership to where we can get residents in Lakeview a feeless bank account for them to get stuff started with the economic growth. So I'm gonna show that video, and then I'll have any questions after that. Let me see here.
We are amazed at the work that's happening. We are amazed at the work that's happening now through the Lakeview Neighborhood Alliance. Under the leadership of Jamall Kinard, we have seen massive improvement in terms of having a sense of pride about Lakeview. We see people from all walks of life getting involved, helping out, helping to transform this neighborhood. And this neighborhood is developing itself into a model that can be replicated in other communities that are having a tough time. So I just want to say thank you to Jamall. I want to say thank you to the residents of Lakeview. This is a great community, and it's getting better day by day.
Thank you for all y'all do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate everything. It is a blessing. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for having this event for us. Thank you.
With everything LNA doing for the community, man, it's a blessing in disguise. We love you. We appreciate it. Everybody come out and support it. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much from the Sloan family.
Thank you so much for all that you do, and God bless you.
Thank you for the gift you have, son. I sure appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much for the help for the community, and thank you for the gift for this holiday. We needed, the whole community needs some help in the kind of situation we're going through with this coronavirus and all the other stuff that's going on. So thank you so much for your gift.
I love Lakeview. I come up here. My children grew up here. My grandchildren are growing up here.
Thank you for the hand sanitizer, the card, and everything else you gave. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We love Jamall. We love what's happening here in the Lakeview community, and we know that communities like this need to be protected.
Thank you. I want to say a big shout out to all our sponsors of our gift card economic mobility program here in the Lakeview community. We want to say we truly, truly thank you. You all have done a tremendous job in helping out our residents here during this time of need. We could not have done it without you. So I want to say thank you again as we continue to engage, educate, and empower here in the Lakeview community, and we continue to organize for impact. We're truly making history now together. Thank you again.
Big news.
I want to hear from Chairman Noah right now. Might have cleaned that up, right? Yes,
So I just want to make a plug. And
okay.
the plug I want to make is for the next book that Plowshares is
got on the agenda because I listened to Jamall talking about these young people and how they start out enthusiastic and things change. And so Plowshares is reading a book for January called The Deepest Well. And it is focused on toxic stress with children and the ACEs study that was done a number of years ago. And it sounds to me like the children that he's talking about fit this criteria. And reading that book would give you some insight and would help you understand what some of these young people are going through.
That's true.
In their lives.
That's
So,
good.
continuous poverty can cause and be part of that toxic stress.
I appreciate you bringing that to the room.
And
Thank
then
you.
the other question I have is, how many other community organizations are there in Lakeview? Are there any additional ones, or is it only your group?
Yeah, we've got to this point where we are the main one. We call ourselves the quarterback agency of Lakeview. So us being the main community organization, we have a partnership now with Faith Memorial Baptist Church. But yeah, we are the main one right now. That's why we merged with the Lakeview Reunion. So we have them as a part of our board and staff now. So now we are the go-to. Yeah, that took some time. We had to build a lot of trust, but we're there now. Yeah.
We've got,
Hand up.
with Emily Gaffney has
Okay.
a question. So,
All
Sarah,
right. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hello there. So I've got my mom and my husband here. Don't know what we look like, but good morning. So one, Jamall, thanks. You are the best example of a community builder I know, and right down to being a good neighbor and mowing people's lawns and taking out their trash to build trust and just a relationship. So thanks for that. You had explained to me one time kind of the broad reach of your economic hub. It includes the Lakeview neighborhood. But then if you could just speak a little bit so people understand kind of your geographic reach too and what you're thinking there. Thanks so much.
No doubt about it. And I'm glad that Sarah brought that up. Just to be, I'll show you a few pictures and renderings that we have planned for the Economic Mobility Hub. But in that study, we put together the task force, the crescent of poverty, right? And that crescent of poverty going from west side to east side. The two most impoverished zip codes is the 28208 zip code and the 28216 zip code. So with our Economic Mobility Hub, we call this initiative 1608. We think that this hub can also ignite economic mobility in the two most impoverished zip codes in Charlotte. And as Pastor Williams said, using that to be a model that we can learn from and we can duplicate across the city and across this nation. With us having partnerships like United Way, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, these are nationwide organizations. If we can do it here in Charlotte, why can't we find the other Jamalls and other neighborhoods, train them up to build more CIOs and replicate this model so we can pull everybody out of that concentration of poverty. Yeah, so thank you for that, Sarah.
and Emily Gaffney also had a question.
Okay, go ahead, Emily, you got a question? She can hear me. Is it in the chat? Emily, you're still muted if you're trying to talk. There it is.
Hey, Jamall, I'm good. We don't have a question, but we're really enjoying what we're hearing.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll show you all a rendering of what we have thus far. Share my screen as well. These are some of the things that need to be done to the building for us to get it fully operational, the former Lakeview Elementary School. As you see, everything from the building being in good shape structurally, but new HVAC, new roof, new windows. So it's a pricey thing, right? We had 2 cleanups to get all the trash out of there, one in April and one this past week, October the 7th. So we're moving there.
Did a study on that.
Okay.
10 or 15 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
And to bring it up to code was a big number.
A big number.
Are
Yeah.
you planning on tearing down that school when we go?
I don't think so. In my opinion, like you said, for what we have right now, it seems like it's better to preserve that history because it means so much to people. And that being tied to the Lakeview name, I think it has more of an emotional connection, and we need to foster that. Yeah. Price wise, probably right, but for the people, yeah, that's right. So this is what we're looking at right now. As you see, you have the youth zone here. This is the former Lakewood preschool that you all played an integral part in bringing into the neighborhood. That's going to be all things youth right here, right? This is where we're going to host our after-school youth program right now, and this is where we're going to move in to be the headquarters of LNA until we get this up and going. This right here will be our vocational focus. We want to have a vocational school there with a focus on construction and housing there, both from the construction piece and also learning the executive and business side of the housing industry. This right here is the retail space we want to offer for people. Good thing about this being an older school, all the classrooms have a door outside, so people can use this as their retail space. This right here will be our event space. This right here will be where the garden is and the restaurant, the bistro. This right here will be a place where people can sit. As you see, we got the food trucks out here. Really want to make that a cultural experience. We continue to engage with people, right? We want to add another floor to it as well, right? That's what the architect has outlined for us. So this would be a top area that can also be rented out with a deck for weddings and things of that nature, events, co-working space up top as well, and other sitting areas and things of that nature. I'll show you some pictures of what we're planning for it to look like on the inside. This will be what the outside will look like once it's finished. Preschool here, adding the top level to the school. And then this is what we're planning for the inside to look like. People come in. We got this idea. I don't know how many of y'all been to the new Linden Tree building uptown, but it's a sight for sore eyes if you want to go check it out. It's an immaculate building. They have these stairs that you can go up, but you also can sit on, eat, work on your laptop, things of that nature. So we wanted to have that inside of the building as well. So this is kind of what it will look like just every day for people to come in and enjoy. This is kind of what it look like as you turn it in more to an event space to host different events, concerts, things of that nature. And then this will be the top floor, what look like once we get done. So we got some plans, big plans. I tell everybody to dream big, right? Shoot for the moon, you land on the stars. We may do some landing on the stars, but at least we have people excited about the vision that we have for the Economic Mobility Hub, and not just for Lakeview, for the 28208 and the 28216 zip code. Any more questions or comments? Anything?
Applaud what you're doing.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
You're changing lives. You'll stay in our prayers and you'll have our support.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, Mr. Tate. Appreciate you all.
And that capital plan you got is a big piece.
Big piece to play. That's right. That's right. That's right. We were working with you all. Shantiqua, I know she's no longer here. But she was a joy to work with. Working with Sarah, working with Claire, working with Flo, and the people that have come out to meet with us. I tell everybody, when you're building the foundation of a house, right? How many of y'all have seen that? It's muddy, it's nasty, right? Right. But once you build it and you build it right, that house can be on that foundation for a long time. So I think where First Pres and where Lakeview is right now is we're going back. We had a crack in the foundation. We're going back and we're making that foundation stronger. We're having some tough conversations, but I'm glad to say we're finding a way to navigate those tough conversations and move forward. And I think that's what we need to do in this country more, in the state and the city, be able to see other people's perspectives, don't take things personal, and know that we're all trying to get to the best outcome for everyone. So that's both relational and that's both economic as well as socially. So I appreciate you all for allowing me to be here, say a few words. The last thing I will leave you all with is a quote from Dr. King. He says, what impacts one of us directly affects all of us indirectly. I cannot be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. You cannot be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. And what we ought to be, good people, is organized around truth, justice, and accountability. So all of our voices are heard and we can move forward together. So thank you all for having me. And I look forward to, I guess, the sanctuary, the service, saying a few words there as well.